Great. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanaya Bethke. I'm the Director of Operations for the Council to Advance Hunting and the Shooting Sports. And today we'd love to welcome Ashley Chance from Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. And she's the new Hunting Heritage Program Manager. And so Ashley is here to share with us the How to Hunt Upland Birds online course that Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever have been partnering with several organizations on to create over the last year as the result of a multi-state conservation grant. And folks that are listening, please feel free to chime in with questions as Ashley is sharing. She's going to give a presentation. This is being recorded for our viewing audience, so you can share this information across the community. And if you do have a question, please use the raise hand function, and I'll call on you and facilitate Q&A as we can. But Ashley, with that, thank you so much for joining us today. I'd like to hand the mic over to you, and just please tell us a little bit about this project and how it got started.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to be here, and I'm going to do my best to showcase just how wonderful this series is. I cannot take the credit for its creation or even the idea conception. This was before my time in my current role. So my supervisor now, Colby Kerber, some of you know him, he moved up but used to be in my role. And over 2 years ago now, he, at the end of the season, was sitting down by the fire and just thinking back on all of the hunts that he had had and reflecting on everything that made them special. The camaraderie, being out in the field, being close with nature, and the highs, the lows. And he thought to himself, like, what if we could just bottle this up? And this was on the very tail end of COVID, where, everybody was kind of in their bubble. And he really wanted to find a way to bottle that whole experience up and share it with a wider audience. People who may not be super familiar with bird hunting, may be new to hunting in general, or maybe haven't explored certain species or locales, like I'll talk about here in a little bit. And so in partnership, like Tanaya said, with Modern Carnivore, produced the series. And then we had a host of other partners that gave input. We're very thankful to all of them. We created this, essentially a film series. It's a course, so there's learning modules and things that people can go through, but it really is some high quality cinematography. And I could stand here and talk about how great it is for a long time, but I think what might be more useful is for me to attempt to share my screen and we all just watch a clip together. So I have about 18 windows open, so let me see if I can manage to get the right one here.
Mike, birdie. It could be down low right by the water here, so let's let her work it. Woo!
Yeah, Mark, I thought you did there. I should have followed my dog. Yo.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
That's a nice 2-year-old.
Yeah, look at that tail.
Yeah, look at that tail.
Woo. Nice spurs.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could watch that for a long time, but I think you get the gist. It's not a hunting show in the sense that we see a lot of times, in popular culture, but it really is storytelling. So the series follows 5 unique individual hunters in 5 different areas of the country, pursuing actually more than 5 different bird species. So each of those films, the clip that we just watched, that entire film is about 25 minutes long. That's how each of those stories unfolds. And people, once they register for the course, which is free, can hop around and watch the videos in any order that they want. They don't have to complete all of them. So, if somebody signs up and they're just interested in ruffed grouse, they can just watch that video and they don't have to wade through everything else. There are also, I'm going to share the screen again. So this is what once you register, which is super simple, it's essentially just name and email. Then you have an account, you're logged in, it's hosted on a platform called Teachable. And you can see over here, these are the 5 hunter stories. So we've got Ken Yang, who's a Hmong hunter in Minnesota, focusing on pheasants. Ruben Mata in California is focused on valley quail. Darrell Smith in Georgia is going after bobwhites. And Amanda Dyer in Maine showcases ruffed grouse as well as woodcock. And Caleb Bendel in North Dakota, in that film, they pursue gray partridge and pheasants. So then there's actual hunting lessons, which you can see some of the topics here. There's basics on each of the bird species. And then it goes into things like hunting equipment, dogs, shotguns, pre-hunt preparation, and on and on. So I'll stop sharing again, but hopefully that gives everybody kind of a sense of what the course entails. And I don't know if anyone in attendance here has had the opportunity to make an account and go in and watch some of the films. But speaking for myself, I started upland hunting 20 years ago, and I still really enjoyed watching it. And I especially enjoyed watching Ruben's story in California. I've never hunted in California or in that environment. And so it was really wonderful to watch a story about valley quail and get inspired and understand more about how one would pursue that bird in that landscape. So that is to say, I think this series really holds something for everyone. Heard from a number of people who have partners that are non-hunters that watch this together in the evening, and had really good responses. So yeah, I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but I think everybody can glean something from this series. The reason that I wanted to come here and share it with all of you today is because this was created as a resource for the R3 community to distribute to their community, basically. So anytime that you're hosting a Learn to Hunt event, or any outreach that you do, if this feels like something your audience might be interested in, please share it with them. Prior to the event, that's what we're doing with all of our Learn to Hunt events this year. We're sending this out to participants before they arrive. They're all novice hunters, and so it gives them a sense of understanding what to expect when they show up in the field, and maybe even some context for the kinds of questions that they want to ask, even, what clothes should you wear? Really things that seasoned hunters can take for granted, that kind of knowledge. So to that end, in the interest of making it straightforward and easy for all of you to share with the people you think could benefit from this series, we have curated a library of social media assets. So reels, really short clips from everything in the series, the longer length stories, and then the quick how-to modules, covering a wide range of topics. So I'll share that library here with you in a minute, and there's some other things in there too, like a flyer, QR code, if you are, at an event in person and you want to share it with folks that way. But the categories that we cover, well, let me just share it with you. I think it'll be easier to conceptualize that way. All right, let's see. So right now I'm looking at it as tiles, but basically what you would do if you were interested in utilizing some of this is you could click on this PDF, which says a little blurb about the course, and then it has basically a catalog of all of the reels. So they're titled within the folder with these names, the geography that it's pertinent to. Not that you can't use these outside of the geographies that they showcase, but just to make it easy for you, and the species as well that they showcase. And then we just broke it out into some really broad general topics. So you can read there: hunt prep, habitat, hunting dogs, hunting culture. And if you're working through this and you ever have any questions, my email's down here, happy to help, or comments about how we can make it better. But let's take a look at one of the reels. I think this is a good one to watch. And they're all vertical because that's what the social media experts tell me is best.
One of the questions that many new hunters ask is whether you have to own a dog to hunt upland birds. The simple answer is no, you don't. You can definitely hunt birds without a dog, and this is how most hunters start out. Some new hunters have the itch to get a dog soon thereafter, though, and many others never take this step and either hunt alone or with friends who already have a hunting dog.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of what these kind of look like. There's also a flyer in here that you're welcome to print and distribute. Again, use at in-person events. If you have a folder that you're giving to participants, there's a QR code there. And then in the next hour or so, what will also be uploaded is, Tanaya, are you seeing a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet now?
I am.
Yeah. Okay. So it's going to be another catalog that has each reel by title and suggested social media language to pair it with if you're going to post this on social media, along with our tags, if you'd be so kind as to tag us in the post. But this is suggested language. You're welcome to tailor it to your audience, your situation, your message. But I know in my experience, that can be kind of a hump to get over. So we wanted to provide that to you for every reel. And the foundation of each message is the same, tailored to the geography and the species. But that'll be up there for you to utilize as well. I think, and I'm going to just drop the link to the library in the chat. I'll send all of these resources to Tanaya afterwards to distribute. But for those of you that are at a computer and able to click on that, it's there. And yeah, I know we don't have a huge audience today, but I'd like to pause here for a couple minutes and just answer any questions that anybody might have.
You bet. And if you could also drop your email in the chat, that would be wonderful.
I will do that.
All right, folks, if you do have any questions, please feel free to hop off mute and ask. I'm going to kick us off with one I was thinking about while you were showing some of the resources. Did you, first of all, when you were first designing, when Pheasants Forever was involved in the design of this course, what was the desired target audience for the series? Is this like true beginner content? Is this kind of next steps content? Does it cover a wide array of educational content? Kind of what was that desired target audience?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think the answer I want to give you is that it was for novices, because you can watch it as a novice and glean a lot of information, but I really think that it's applicable to everybody. I mean, I myself watching it picked up on some things. So I think definitely the intent was to be a resource for people that were new to upland hunting, or new to a particular species, but it's kind of all encompassing.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Also, how did you decide whose stories to tell, which hunters to tell, and how did you find those folks?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the big things that we as an organization care about is really widening the view of who hunts and why. I think definitely at this moment, maybe not so much now, but for a long time in our country, there's kind of this vision of who a hunter is, what they look like, even maybe why they hunt and how they hunt. And it's not really representative of all of the people out there. So the people that we showcase are a very diverse audience. They're authentic. We're just talking about their actual real lives. And I actually do not know how we came in contact with each individual one, but I know that through working with our partners, there were relationships that folks had with some of these hunters. And so that was how contact was made with at least a few. And we work with some of them in other capacities. We have a partnership like with Minority Outdoor Alliance. So Durrell is somebody that we work closely with. So it was kind of a natural fit to showcase him in the South. But yeah, I think at this point, the audience that we as R3 professionals are speaking to is one that's diverse, largely non-traditional. And so I think that being able to show that in this series was really important, and I feel like it was done quite well. One thing that I didn't mention before is that each story covering the individual hunters is not just spent in the field. Honestly, maybe only half the film is spent in the field. Everyone has a component where they go back to their family's home and a meal is prepared. And so it really gets at hunting culture, not like broad strokes writ large, whatever we take for granted when we hear that, but that person's individual hunting culture that they exist in and have grown in and are working through.
That is awesome. I'm glad to hear that they're all authentic hunters, and it's all a result of really meaningful storytelling around diversifying what hunting is and who participates in these activities. I'm thinking of some of the folks that are on the call today that work in urban areas, and much like me in my career, I've had a hard time finding resources that tell the story of our full hunting community, both our traditionalists and our non-traditionalists. And so it's great to have resources to point to all of the different kind of stories on the landscape. So that is awesome to see.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. And one of the other things too that I want to touch on is it's not just the hunters themselves, but also their path to becoming a hunter. Those are all very unique, and a number of them, adult onset just sounds like a disease to me, but a number of them came to hunting as adults. Or, if you go through and watch the stories, you can really see and understand more about that. But Ruben Mata in California, he's a diesel mechanic. He lives, in the heart of the city and ventures out onto public land to hunt quail. So yeah, that to me was really heartening too. In a time where it can feel like there's nowhere to go and you have to have private land connections and know everything. I think people can really see themselves in the stories that are told.
Mm-hmm. In your life, actually, there's a question that just came in the chat from Taylor. If we wanted to share this on our agency websites, are there specific parameters to do so, or can I just post the link online?
Post it, and don't worry about any of it. The reason that we made this was to, again, be a tool for hunters. So there's not really anything that we're gaining. There's no, it was grant funded. We're not profiting from this. So we just want to get it out there to the widest audience possible. And yeah, that's why we made all these resources for you to use. You don't have to use them, but they're there if you'd like them.
Awesome. An additional question from Brandon. Will this content also be available in the clearinghouse? Our state content blocks Dropbox, so it's hard to get access. And in addition to that, I would love to offer a partner collection in the clearinghouse to host any of the content that might be hard for folks to access otherwise.
Yes, absolutely. We can get all of this stuff uploaded to the clearinghouse. And in the meantime, if you want to access them, we also have them in a OneDrive folder. But as I tested that with some folks, it seemed like there were some access issues. So we can get you the resources. Just shoot me an email if you need them before we can get them up on the clearinghouse.
And I know Amanda Pittman's on the call right now. She is the council's guru for all things clearinghouse. And so we'll get the two of you connected to get it loaded up, and then likely send a message out to the community that it's posted there and can be found. A great question, Brandon. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I see Amanda is typing. I don't know if this is a question or a response. Happy to get the resources posted. Thanks so much, Amanda. And thank you all for using the chat function. However you want to ask questions, now's a great time to have some Q&A with Ashley. Along the lines, Ashley, while we're together, I'd love to get to know you better. This is also kind of the first time that we've had a chance to amplify you within the hunting and shooting sports community. And so could you tell us a little bit about your background and experience in the broader hunting and shooting sports world and who you are individually as a person?
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in Tennessee. I grew up in Minnesota, and I'm trained as a wildlife biologist. So I studied how hunting pressure impacts deer movements in graduate school in Mississippi. And from there, married another wildlife biologist, which meant that I needed to pivot in terms of jobs so that we could both work in the same locale. And I was fortunate enough through moving through different roles to end up with Artemis Sportswomen, program of the National Wildlife Federation. And so I was the Southeast Region coordinator for Artemis for, I think, 2.5 years. and it was just the most amazing experience. And when my time there felt like it was coming to an end, I looked to Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever as an organization that I would really love to be a part of for a whole host of reasons. And this role came up, and I was fortunate enough to be offered the position. So I've been working in this space for, I guess, a while, but I've been living in it for my entire life. I started hunting alongside my dad. It's kind of like a boring story, fortunately for me. And so started hunting deer, and then as I moved around the country for different jobs and things like that, and really even the world, I spent some time abroad. I started branching out into, you name it, and I've tried to hunt it, I'm sure. And so, in Mississippi, I got big into waterfowl hunting, and deer hunting as well. And now here in Tennessee, it's, whatever's available to us is kind of what we go after, small game. I'm raising my daughter in the outdoors. She's 2.5, and I bring her with me into the field all the time because that's the only way that I get to go hunting. So through all of those experiences and moving and trying to find access to places to hunt and understand regulations in new locations, I became familiar with a lot of the barriers that exist for new hunters trying to get started. So I feel like I have somewhat of a lived experience on a personal level as well as a professional experience in this space. I was going to say something else and I don't remember what it was.
I have a totally random question for you. We've been looking for ear protection for littles. Do you have a place that you like to look for ear protection for your youngster?
Yeah, we just got headphones off of Amazon that are noise canceling, and they're Bluetooth, or excuse me, they're not Bluetooth. You can press a button so they can hear you talking. But the sound of a shotgun cuts them off. And my tip for getting them to wear them, our daughter did not want to wear them. We took her to the shooting range, and as soon as we put her on a golf cart, we put the headphones on, and she was so enamored with being on the golf cart that she accepted them. And so then, yeah, there's some struggles in the field, but we just have 2 people, somebody else watching to make sure while she's on my back that she's got them on. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Our youngest is a 2-year-old also, and she loves riding my backpack, going out in the woods. And so that's the next step, is the prairie walk with the headphones on.
It's good to be moving, I'll say that. Something else.
Sorry, please.
Sorry, go ahead, Tamara.
No, I was just going to say, I love hearing about you, your prior experiences, your role with Pheasants Forever in general as a hunting heritage person. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that as well. So I don't want to cut you off, though, if you've got something else that you'd like to share.
No, I think we've got time. So in my role now, I coordinate nationally all of our Learn to Hunt and Learn to Shoot efforts. So that encompasses events that are held by chapters. We have over 750 chapters across the country, and there's thousands of these Learn to Hunt events that they host every year. So providing them with resources and education and best practices around that. And then, actually, this is a perfect segue to the next thing I was going to talk about. We also have our Women on the Wing initiative, and a component of that initiative is R3, trying to get women into hunting. So we have chapters in different parts of the country that are Women on the Wing chapters. They're just a traditional chapter made up entirely of women. And so they host events oftentimes that get women out into the field, and traditional chapters host those as well. We also have a partnership in its 2nd year with Minority Outdoor Alliance, where we're hosting multi-day Learn to Hunt experiences focused on minorities, which have been really wonderful. We've done 2 of, actually, the 3rd one's about to start tomorrow. So we're about halfway through that series, and it's been really great to see that. So, yeah, that's kind of the meat and potatoes of my role, along with another initiative that we have that began before my time, but I've been investing a lot of time and energy into trying to grow. It's called the Hunter Mentor Pledge. And this is actually something that I wanted to share with this community, because essentially there have been pledges before, and there probably are similar programs out there right now. And I think a lot of them have not reached the level of impact that they had hoped for a wide variety of reasons. And I feel like we've learned, this is our 4th year now instituting the pledge, and we've learned a lot. And so basically how it works, I mean, the goal is to increase mentorship of new hunters, right? Because at this point, I think it's pretty well accepted that introductory events are important, but they're the tip of the iceberg. Somebody really needs a lot of repetitions, a community, a place to go to answer questions. So mentorship kind of checks all those boxes for each individual. So essentially people sign up, take the pledge, say that they're going to mentor someone in the field this season, this hunting season. They go and do that, and then they tell us about it, write up a paragraph and submit a photo, and they get entered in to win a variety of prizes. The big one is a guided upland hunt for 2 for them and their mentee. And I'm gonna share my screen here. This is a little report that I put together for one of our sponsors of the pledge. And you can just, in skimming it, you can see this one. It's a woman and her neighbor, Andrew's my neighbor, who has a mild form of autism. Great kid, loves the outdoors. I'm an avid outdoorsman myself and offered to mentor him. Her real passion is bird hunting, and after fitting him with a gun, took him trap shooting multiple times. They went on a pheasant hunt, and his smile tells the rest of the story. And I've got a whole bunch I can scroll through here and we can talk about, but I hope that and assume that the rest of you are gleaning some stories like this from the work that you're doing, because I think it is having impact. But we've just gotten so many submissions that are, I just spend time reading them sometimes because they're heartwarming and inspirational. But one thing that we did this year is we are partnering with 3 different state wildlife agencies across the country on the pledge. So essentially what that agreement looks like is the state agency sends messaging about the pledge to their constituency through whatever mediums they have available. So social media, email, newsletters, things of that nature. And then we give them a custom URL that they can use to send people to the pledge. So on the back end, we can see, for example, everyone that came to the pledge through the Minnesota DNR link or through the North Dakota Game and Fish link. And so at the end of the season, in midsummer, at the end of June, when we draw the winners for the pledge, everyone who took the pledge is entered in for the national prizes. And then folks from those individual states are also entered into a drawing for a prize that's specific to that state. A Yeti cooler, the sky's the limit. It can be whatever the partner thinks is best. But we have had an incredible response from partnering with North Dakota Game and Fish specifically this year. They represent 68% of the submissions that we've gotten this year. And that's not people that have taken the pledge. That's people who have already, on October 11th, brought someone out into the field with them, taken a photo, and told us about it. So I think that this is something that is beneficial to us because it's just amplifying the message, and it's beneficial to the State Wildlife Agency because it's plug and play. I'm the one administering it. You don't have to do any work. It can help circumvent red tape for a lot of state wildlife agencies that they would have to wade through to do something like this. So I just wanted to put that out there. So Alps Outdoors is our primary sponsor. This is the landing page. I'll drop this in the chat too. But basically, it's as I explained it. They sign up, say they're going to take somebody, go out into the field, and then tell us about it. So they would click that button. And down here is a map. So this is from 2021 through last year's pledge. And you can see that a lot of our entries are very concentrated where our activity is most concentrated in the nation, right here in the heart of the Midwest. And so this year we have a partnership with Tennessee that we're excited to branch into the Southeast. And I mean, we'd love to partner with anybody, but certainly in this area of the country, there's a lot of movement that could be made. So if that's something that you are interested in, even just learning more about, let me know, and I would be happy to talk through that.
Is that something that you do have capacity to partner with more states on? within your position? Like, I know there are several folks on this call that have close relationships with state agencies. And so if they were looking to do a pheasant season specific pledge, is that something they could reach out to you for?
Yeah, I mean, the season for the pledge is basically whenever hunting begins in the fall in your state through spring turkey. So yeah, I mean, we are already into the fall, but I think it's early enough that if this is of interest to anyone, we can absolutely, I mean, we've got everything's ready to go. We've got agreements to work off of, so we're not starting from ground zero.
Awesome. Are there other partnering opportunities for your position specifically that might be open to NGOs or states that are watching this, either today or otherwise? I noticed that you mentioned Minority Outdoor Alliance, and they're doing some specific supported hunts. I know noticed you've mentioned state partnerships in a couple of different ways. What do those other opportunities look like?
Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit, really. I think wherever that Venn diagram of our mission and yours come together, we can explore what might make sense there. One of the things that our organization prides itself on is being innovative and trying new things. So I don't have anything specific to slide across the table, but I'm always open to talking through ideas that anyone has on how to partner.
That's awesome. Well, just listening, I've had a couple of ideas flash across my mind about ways that people can get more active. And Olivia is our regional archery coordinator down in the Southeast region, and would love to enhance those relationships in the Southeast. I hear you, girl. I think there's a lot of movement that can happen there.
Yeah, definitely. David, I saw that you commented in the chat. I'd be happy to circle up with you if you want to drop your email in the chat afterwards and figure out how we might move forward.
Awesome. David runs an outdoor education center in South Dakota, and so is responsible for an incredible team of folks that lead Learn to Hunt events for that entire half of the state. So I think there's some good contacts to be made there.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, are there any further questions for folks? Amanda's already got a partner collection live and ready to receive the contact information and all of the assets. Thank you so much, Amanda. Any additional questions for Ashley before we wrap up today? Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing this resource. I know the whole community at large benefits dramatically from not only educational resources, but open source social media assets. I know that all of us are doing outreach when it comes to small game. Small game is often one of the biggest opportunities we have when it comes to R3 efforts and increasing access and opportunity. And so thank you so much for being a part of the project and amplifying it for the rest of us. Really appreciate it. And I'm seeing some thanks in the chat for you as well. I'm glad you got your contact information. I'll send out notes to the rest of the community here shortly, along with the video recording.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. And please don't hesitate to reach out if you experience any challenges accessing any of it, because I want to make sure that's not an issue.
Absolutely. 100%. Well, thanks all for joining us and have a great day.